What's going on, guys? It's Charr here, back with another episode of Charred Takes. Now, this one's going to be a bit interesting than the ones I usually record. The reason being is there isn't a super big thesis or anything like that, but no disclaimers this time around, so no, little caption on the bottom of the screen here. Let's just get straight into it. But as always, remember, for Charred Takes, opinions here are completely my own, but I do encourage all of the other opinions for you guys to leave in the comment section down below. Discuss it in the comment section. I'll be down there replying to you guys. That's the whole point. That's the whole reason I do this series. I want to hear what you guys think. I want you guys to hear my opinion, and then we can have a dialogue about it. Let me know if my take is cooked, or if it was cooking, or if it was charred, aka in the oven too long, hence the name of this series. So today's topic is basically going to be about the importance of local play, growing a local community, and it's sort of like a side grade to the video about multiplayer generally. So we're starting off with the thesis here, and again, like the last one, it's not going to be as super rough structured as a previous Charred Takes, where it's kind of just going to be a free-flowing discussion and whatnot. I didn't listen to the advice of putting it on a podcast, so bear with me again as I figure out how that goes. But it's just going to be on YouTube again for today's episode. So the thesis I basically have here is piggybacking a bit off the multiplayer versus solo video. If you are not taking steps to build a local community or get out and play in your local area or with people you've never met or anything like that, you are missing out sorely in the experience of Marvel Champions. Let's go ahead and talk about that. Before we do, I want to try and address the counter arguments a little bit, and you guys are going to see me look at my monitor a little bit because I wrote a lot of notes just to keep me on topic for today's episode. So the couple of the counter arguments or disclaimers I want to get ahead of. I really do like solo. Like, I feel like when I say that, maybe some people think that I'm not telling the truth. That's not true. I upload solo for Marvel Rewind. I have fun playing the game that way, and I think it's a super valid and fun way to play the game. And I just think that even though I love solo and I find it a lot of fun, I think sitting down with other players just greatly enhances the experience. I feel like it's almost not even comparable. Like, I think Marvel Champions and solo is a great game. I think Marvel Champions with above solo and multiplayer is basically one of the best games of all time. That's kind of like where my headspace is at. This isn't really a solo versus multiplayer video. It's more of a discussion about kind of like building your local community, getting out there, getting out of your comfort zone, sort of like an anecdote for my own self, revitalizing third spaces, etc. So I want to start off with an anecdote for me specifically on why, kind of where this topic came from, and just why I'm talking about it. So after I visited the Con of Heroes, again, quick side note, that was such an amazing event. Kennedy Hawk Hone and everyone else who contributed did a really great job of putting that on. And it was just really good to be in an area filled with so many people who loved and enjoyed the game as much as I did, or probably even more. So after that, I was really inspired to get out there and just play the game, play with people I had never played with before, talk about the game with people I've never talked to before. And I was just really inspired, and I got back to my local area. I was like, man, I don't have that like kind of support group or kind of like that play group around me. Of course, I always have fun playing with my friend Boundless Green. You've seen him on the streams, and he's been on the channel before. But playing in 2-player is still different from playing in 3 and 4 in a sense. And especially if you're going out of like your own home, or like I go to his house, he comes to mine, going out to an area specifically to go and play the game with other like-minded people, it's just a bit different. When I play with him, it's like hanging out with a friend. When I play with other people in a larger group, it's kind of like a shared community space. And that's something that was really fun, and something I really missed from the con that I wanted in my own local area. So that all sparked with me kind of like talking to my local game stores to talk about setting up a game night at a local shop. And I'm going to be discussing how I went about doing that and kind of how it grew from that point. So it was kind of this opportunity, again, like I was saying, to kind of see and interact with people I didn't know. And another really fun aspect of it is see how other people thought about the game, how they built the game, like built their decks, how they fought scenarios, and how they played the game. And also, in a final note, to give back to my local community. When you're in the YouTube space and people who are really, invested in the game, to watch YouTube video content or kind of talk about the game or learn about the game, you kind of get these preconceived notions. You're like, oh, everybody thinks about the game this way, or everyone sees the game this way. And even though there's a lot of, varying opinions between YouTubers and in the community online, That being said, there's still sort of like an overarching like echo chamber of ideas, which isn't like necessarily a good or bad thing. I'm not saying that our views are wrong or they're right necessarily. It's just that you'll hear still a lot of samey opinions. Generally speaking, they don't, go too far left or right on like the kind of charred scale, if you will. But what I've been able to sit down at this local game store, skipping ahead a bit, and talk to these people see the game completely differently from I do. Some of them play only on like standard mode. Some of them play skirmish. Some of them play only on expert, which is kind of like where I'm at. Except in multiplayer, I find myself in multiplayer. I love playing standard. Because I feel like people can come in with varying levels of experience and varying levels of optimal decks, and everyone can still always have a fun time on standard. Or when you pump it up to expert, maybe some of the people who have weaker play patterns or weaker decks, speaking generally, not like as a negative thing, might not have as fun of an experience as they would playing on standard, for example. But yeah, it's been so interesting to see how people think about the game, how they build the game, how they play the game. And there's just so many opinions, right or wrong, whether I agree or disagree with them. It's been interesting to see how people just interact with the game. Some people just buy the heroes that they care about. Some people buy some of the expansions, or I've talked to people who bought none of the expansions. They buy almost all of the heroes, but they're like, no, I don't really want the expansions because I don't care about other villains. I fought with this, played a game with this group of two great people that only ever played Rhino and Claw, and that's it. They had like X-Men stuff, they had like new stuff from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they had like the spiders, and like they never bought an expansion box, and they would play all these new heroes against Rhino and Claw only. It was crazy to see the kind of variety of people, and these are valid ways to view the games. These are valid players of the game, and just because they're not all in or they're varying levels of all in the game doesn't mean their experience is any less valid or fun to interact, talk about, and just have a good time cranking out a game of Mario Champions with. Also, the feeling of giving back to my local community is something kind of pretty personal to me. I don't have like a huge connection to my local community. I grew up in this area for most of my life, but it's kind of like I'm giving back in a way to the area I grew up in, and also just fostering this idea of like a third place. As you know, I'm not going to get into like a political or socioeconomic discussion of the United States or anything on this channel, but just for the way that infrastructure and things have built out in cities and suburbs, third places have been getting destroyed at such a rapid pace that they're basically non-existent now. So supporting your local board game shop as this third place, which is essentially a place that isn't work and isn't home, it's a place you go for leisure or out of your own way to go, such as a board game shop that has open tables, by making those third places lively and contributing in terms of like supporting your local game stores and whatnot, buying snacks, buying product, sleeves and whatnot. It keeps these third places alive, it keeps the community thriving, and keeps us all less isolated. But I'll get off my soapbox a little bit, but that has been a really fulfilling part of it, because after kind of slowly building up this basically a local scene, a local meet every week, there's been more and more and more people who show up, and that's been really awesome and really great to see. It's almost heartwarming even. Throughout this experience, I've had a ton of chances to talk about the game, to teach the game, which has been a big one because I'm super down to play with new players. Some people aren't so much like that. Some people like, getting under the table and everyone knows what they're doing, crank out as many games as possible. I'm fine with teaching new players. I will sit down, teach a new player. I'll do like one-on-one. If they want to play solo, we'll do 2, 3, 4 player. I taught in 4 player. I've taught in 3 player. I just think it's such a good time. I just love the game and almost everything about it. And I got to host events to get people to learn about the game or to learn more about the game, something that was in and outside of the game. For people who have never played the game before, I've got to teach it, but also there are people who had maybe a knowledge gap on certain things in the game, such as explaining what calling an action was. That was something that happened to me when I had never played multiplayer before. I didn't know you could call actions outside of turn, which, by the way, completely opens up multiplayer into this really great like kind of cacophony of like, we're gonna call an action here and here and do all these things. It's almost like everyone's playing, even though it's not in the correct turn order. Obviously there's limitations to it, but it just feels really like dynamic, and there's like so many cool decisions you get to make with calling actions that aren't there if you have to go in like a stringent turn order. So being able to even point out these little things that I've learned from kind of being all in into the game has been like really rewarding and fun to do, especially at these weekly meets. I would say that a lot of the stuff I do when it comes to maybe the teaching side of it or giving them more knowledge on the game is very similar, kind of like the content I do here on YouTube, which is I think why I enjoy it so much, or I have like kind of like an affinity for it, because a lot of the stuff I do on YouTube is primarily to like help people. There's some stuff where I'm just giving my opinions out there and they're like for fun videos, but other times it's really sitting down and like the Mastering Ultron video is one of those really fun videos that I had a chance to do, which is like how do we defeat Ultron with like the hardest mod sets and expert using only core box cards with someone who has like a weird matchup against him or maybe a difficult matchup. That one was super fun to do. I had a lot of fun doing that, kind of like teaching Doc 7 in a way, which is the person, Dave, who reached out and was really the catalyst for the idea of the video. That one's one that was really fun, and I kind of get to do that similar thing when talking and meeting with these new players. Now, something I want to get ahead of again, I don't give like unsolicited advice. I'll just be like, it'll be like an offhand. I'm not trying to coach them to play the game better in a way that I would play it. It's more like if I feel like they just don't know a specific interaction that they're maybe struggling with, or maybe they open the question to the table, I'll be like, hey, this is how this interaction works, or have you thought about it doing this way? Because I feel like, some people play the game in a way a certain time over and over and over, and if they never kind of like expand past this, that's why playing with new players is great, because you get to see how other people play and be like, wow, I never thought of doing it or sequencing it in that way before. That opens up options for all these heroes that I don't have a ton of experience on. Like, wow, the next time I go back to them, make a deck for them, I can have a really fun time playing because we learn from each other. That's just how it works. Another big positive boon for this event has been keeping my motivation up for learning and playing the game. I'm never, one thing that I want to say in terms of my niche on YouTube, I started uploading just to upload because I thought it'd be fun and cool to chronicle, but I'm never going to be the best, most optimal player at the game because that's not where I find this game's enjoyment. I don't stretch this game to like its mathematical limits like a stretch 22. I'm not playing Ronin on expert every day like a Warrior Fanatic. That's not where I think my niche is, but I can have great games, have great experiences both on and off the YouTube channel that's centered around building and maintaining a community, getting new players into the fold, learning, playing the game, and having a really safe and fun avenue to do so. The biggest reason why I like this was the sense of community, coming from like a competitive TCG to this, it's like night and day difference to the approachability of people, kind of like the spreading of and wealth of knowledge, because there's no stuff like prizing on the line, or it's not a 1v1 competitive game, which makes sense why those communities are like that, but it's so I feel like it's so at odds with why you play the game, which is to like have fun. Like there's a big knowledge gap, and people aren't the most willing to help you kind of get over that knowledge gap, because why would you make your competition better at the game if you want to win the prizing at your locals, if you want to win the prizing at your regionals, or if you want to win that world's prize card? It's just at odds. That's why like for TCGs only, I use them as like table games only with friends, where it's like I'll sit down and I play the game because I like the game, not because I'm playing it to have prizing or like win locals or anything like that. Another really big reason why it's been a ton of fun for me, it's just like it's a really fun weekly event that I get to look forward to. It's almost like it's on the calendar every single week. Saturdays at 5, I know I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna have a great time playing whatever heroes that I want, right? Like I can coordinate with the other members who show up, we can do fun themes, or we can challenge myself or ourselves in an environment to play heroes that we don't normally play, as a breeding ground to kind of learn how the ins and outs of these heroes. Playing on standard, maybe sometimes we play on expert, we can play in some styles we don't normally play as. Maybe we all want to like rush down Magog like we did the other weekend, or you want to do like sort of tempo build against maybe one of the Galaxy's most wanted villains. There's just so many chances and opportunities to have these great experiences. Something that I'm really looking forward to is hosting a massive multiplayer Loki event, and I really hope there's going to be a big turnout. I think we can really hit like 3 or 4 tables, which in my local scene is pretty impressive. I would say after I started hosting locals maybe about a month ago, a little over a month ago, it started with like 3 people, and then it went up to 4, and then 5, and then one day we had 8, and then sometimes there's lulls and it goes back down to like 5, and then it goes back up. I'm expecting a big turnout. I'm actually leaving here in about an hour to play. You guys will probably be seeing this on Sunday if I had to guess, so it's on Saturdays at 5 when I host it. If you are in the Texas area, San Antonio area, feel free to reach out on Discord and whatnot. Let's get chatting, because it'd be awesome to have you guys come out and play the game. Another really great aspect of it is that you get to connect with people in person, but also with my friends online. And this has been a really fun avenue of this. So, for example, I've been taking decks out to this event because I don't make every single one of my decks all the time. Sometimes I want to play a hero and I'll look up Marvel CDB. I'll see like what deck looks interesting. I'll adjust it here and there to how I like to play the game, and then I'll go ahead and roll with it. Like I don't make the deck from scratch, which I think is a fair way to play the game if I'm not super into the hero and want to get really nitty gritty into the deck building. So I've been taking some decks from some people I've met through YouTube and whatnot and just trying them out. It's been so much fun. It's been super fun to get back to them and then afterwards and tell them how I felt about the deck, all the changes I made, what I found during my playtesting, what I thought about the ideas they had and whatnot. It's been such a blast, such a treat. And one thing that I've been doing to do that is I got the Game Genic Castle, which has actually been a ton of fun. There's like kind of like dice. I got my like ready exhaust tokens here. I got my dials and whatnot. And then on this side, we'll kind of open it up here just so we can kind of see what I roll up with every week. We've got like a mat down here. We've got a villain dial right here, I think. And then some of the decks I've been bringing, I have my villains in kind of these burger token boxes. And then one of the decks I had been piloting for the past couple of weeks has been this really fun Valkyrie deck, which is by my friend Bree, who I met at the con. You know, I threw in Show of Empty because that's a really fun card here. But it's been just this Valkyrie deck based around like the Infiltration card and the Raft and whatnot. It's been so fun. I brought it for like 2 weeks in a row, and I played like 3 or 4 games on it. It's been a blast. There's other decks in here that I'm planning to bring this week by Marvel Champions deck discussions. Abby Samal was talking about this Hulk retrain. I think he's already uploaded the video about it. A way to kind of like fix Hulk with a double-sided upgrade card, or I think it's just single-sided. And I've been playing normal Hulk just to get a feel for him and whatnot. And it's just like a way for me to like interact with the community outside of like doing YouTube or like a video or a collab, because like I'm playing these out in the field essentially, and I'm just having such a great time doing it. Every time I get to go back and tell them like, hey, I really loved your deck. These are the stuff I played against. So, you know, they always have like a really great reception, and it's just a really good experience all around. So what I want to say also is that it doesn't even necessarily have to be in person. So for me specifically, I do love the physicality of card games, but I cannot for the life of me get into virtual clients. I know Marvel Champions has a ton of virtual clients on tabletop and some of the automated systems for you to get down, play the game, even play with members, other members of the community, like really, really easily. And if you love the virtual clients, more power to you. That is not where I find enjoyment in the game. The physicality of card games, I love like shuffling my hand. I love shuffling up the encounter deck. I love shuffling up my main deck. Kind of spreading my cards out on the table and weighing the options. Doing that on a screen versus doing it in person is just so night and day for me. I just can't get into it. It just doesn't work. But I would say there's always virtual clients or webcam games, which is what I find a lot more fun. Webcam games is like you point the camera at the table and you're still using your virtual cards. Again, it's not as good as in person, but it's almost close enough that I'm super down to do that. That you can reach out to members in the community and play. And if that's something any of you guys are interested in, go ahead and join the Discord down below, and we can maybe host a webcam night one of these nights if there's enough people showing interest, which I think could be super cool. We could have like multiple tables going on. It's almost like that sense of community building, but online. Again, I really do just want to reiterate the fact that this chronicle of me calling around like local game stores, I found one. I guess a couple of tips and tricks I could give for it is make sure you ask them what their schedule is. For example, if there's like Commander going on that night, you're essentially probably 100% shut out. So I wouldn't even bother asking. So what I would ask is be like, especially if the store actually hosts the game or like, sells the game, I would be like, hey, I'm looking, I would take all the hosting duties. You wouldn't have to do anything on your end. I just want to host a spot or like get something on your calendar, or maybe just, kind of good graces of like, I'd like to host something weekly here for Marvel Champions. It's a really fun game. Maybe tell them a little bit about it. Just be like, what nights you guys are the slowest, or what nights you guys like have a gap that needs to be filled, and we can come in and fill that gap. So for me in my local area, it was Tuesday nights and Saturday nights were the least busy. I think it was Thursday and Saturday actually, and I thought Saturday made more sense because it was the weekend and whatnot. So it's like, sure, Saturday night is like a great time slot. Now it might not be as good for you. It might be like a Wednesday night or something, or it might be a Monday night, but I think it's well worth that idea of just putting yourself out there, calling around your local game store areas and being like, hey, I'm really, interested. I'm down to like teach the game. I'm down to talk to you guys about the game. I just want to get people showing up, coming, and building this local community. And it's going to be tough. Depending on the area you live in, I live in kind of like the seventh most populated city in the country in the US, I think at this point. So obviously it's a lot easier for me to find people that are maybe for you, but I don't think you should get disheartened. I think the idea, just the fact of putting yourself out there, being like, hey, I'm going to be here. Marvel's a really big IP. I'm going to be here, show up. Be consistent when you show up. Be like, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be teaching the game. There might be some weeks that nobody shows up. There might be some weeks that like 2 people show up. It's the matter of staying consistent. I think you'll have some really, really good fruits for your effort and a labor going into it. And I think you will not regret the effort you put in to do it. It's not for everybody. And I'm not saying everyone needs to go out there and call all the local game stores and be like, we need Marvel Champions on the map. I just think it'll be a really rich, fun, and rewarding experience for you to get out there and do that. Just to end off this Charred Take again, it's not really like I'm trying to convince you of anything. I'm just kind of, it's a way to talk about my anecdotal experience with hosting a local, the amount of fun I've had with it, and the amount of fun I think you guys can if you want to go out and do that for yourselves. Again, what the thesis was, piggyback off of multiplayer versus solo. If you're not taking steps to build a local community or get out of your house or get out from just only your friends, obviously it's great to play with friends. I'm not saying you have to do this, but getting out, taking steps to build a local community or getting out to play, getting out of your comfort zone, you are sorely missing out. Trust me, you will not regret it. Third places are on the decline. I know life is busy and putting yourself out there, especially to host, can be very tiring, and it's not for everybody. There are people who are going to be in different stages of life than I am, who are going to have families, full-time jobs, more obligations, like harder lives balancing their budget, and they have to work 2 jobs. Trust me, I get this. This is not in any way to put down. It's only meant to uplift, to inspire, and hopefully someone out there can tell me their successful attempt in revitalizing or creating a local scene in their area. That's what I think and what I hope would come out of this. If even one person gets inspired to have the same experiences I'm having, I think that would be a win for everyone and the community at large. Trust me, I think the results will be more than worth it, and you'll make friends and see the game in a light that you have never seen before. Trust me, I can't wait. I'm like an hour off before I head out to the game store to play some more games. If you guys are interested in kind of like a weekly recap, let me know down in the comment section down below. I'll tell you about the games I played like the past week, tell you what I'm thinking about, in terms of the game, and I think that's a really fun way to get some consistent content again when some of the double uploads are kind of lulling a little bit, I think it'd be just really cool and really fun. You might be wondering again at the very end of the video why there's no Falcon or Winter Soldier. They actually got delayed in my local game store, so enjoy this video. I think it'll be just as well, if not even better for you all. But let me know any and all thoughts you guys have in the comment section down below. Sorry, tripped over my words a little bit. That'll be it for me. Leave a like down below, subscribe if you haven't already. Join the Discord if you want to maybe do a possible game night. Let me know. This has been Charr. Take care of yourselves. Have a good one. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.